All right, the PlayStation camera for the PlayStation 4. Quick unwrapping here and assembling it together. Some thoughts, a quick review on it, and some positives, pros, and cons on this particular peripheral for the PlayStation 4. First off, this looks a lot nicer than the PlayStation Eye. Really, in the package, it's just basically two pieces. The cam itself and the stand that it attaches to. You can see that once they're attached together, the camera does have the ability to tilt up or down. The stand itself has that back arm that can sort of be curved downward and help with the placement of it. Now, the placement of the camera itself can be in two places, on top of your television or at the base. Interesting kind of placements. I guess it's really going to determine on what you want to do with the camera, and that's going to be a little bit later. But when we're talking about the cam itself, when it's sitting on top of the television, I had a chance to place this cam on top of different types of television sets, and in particular focusing in on the different casings of televisions for flat screens, and you can see some of them have that sharper bezel or edge to it. Others have that more of that rounded edge to it. So for the most part, this camera did okay. I felt like it was able to sit on top of the television, and I wasn't really worried about it falling off just on its own. Now, it is just sitting up there, so if you happen to bump into it, or if you're moving cables around at the back of your television or the PlayStation, you might accidentally have jarred enough that it will actually come off. But other than that, that was actually it. It sat up there pretty well. The issue that I had actually is when you are placing the camera down towards the bottom of the television or at the base of your television. It's going to be standing on the same platform if you have it sitting on top of some sort of table or a television cabinet. It's going to have this issue where if you just want to lay out that stand so the arm is just extending out flat backwards, it's long enough that it will actually interfere and get caught up with the base of your television. And as a result, you'll be riding on top of that base and end up pushing the camera, tilting it downward, and it looks just awful. I don't like the look of that. The other solution I had around that is if you curl the arm underneath itself, you can actually perch it on top. It definitely looks a little tippy. So again, not ideal. Hopefully, if you do want to place it at the bottom of your television screen, that there's enough space in front of that base so that the PlayStation camera and that extended arm going up to the back of the camera has enough space so that it can sit flat on the table or cabinet. Now that's just the setup and placement. The actual connection to the camera to the PlayStation 4 is actually really simple. It's the one cable. It looks like a USB, but it is not a USB. That just actually plugs into the back of your PlayStation 4. It is a specific cable, and so you're not going to have any luck trying to plug it into the front of your PS4. Now, once you plug it in, it's just a matter of going into the Playroom, and then it literally just walks you through the setup process. Now, again, what I found works best is if you're wanting to play around with a VR Playroom, you're going to want to have that camera at knee height or at the base of your television. However, what I found in doing the Share Factory, and if you want to sort of capture yourself as you're playing games and almost have that picture-in-picture kind of look with you looking directly at the screen, I like the look of the camera sitting on top of the television screen. So again, depending on what you want to do with this PlayStation camera, it's really going to dictate where you are going to put this camera, whether on the top of your television or at the base. So the pros. What I like about this camera is the price. It is priced perfectly. It's a peripheral, and again, unlike the Xbox One when it originally came out, it was this mandatory sort of purchase. It was lumped together with the Xbox One. This is a separate purchase, but the price itself is actually substantially cheaper than if you were to go out and buy a Kinect camera for the Xbox One. The Xbox One cam comes at $150. The PlayStation camera for the PS4 comes in at $65. What I also like about this camera is that it adds this extra layer of creation and creative power when you're dealing with the PlayStation's Virtual Studio and with the Share Factory apps on the PlayStation 4. To be able to have your face or record your voice from that PlayStation camera, that's a definite plus. Now the cons. Here we go. What I don't like about this camera, there's not a lot of games out for it right now. Sure, you're going to have your specific motion capture type games, the dancing games, and those are great. There is that VR Playroom and the ability to play around with some of the features of having that camera attached to your PlayStation 4, but those really wear out pretty quick and the novelty dies shortly after you get a chance to mess around with it. So why would you get this? If you are looking at creating media off your PlayStation 4, this PlayStation camera is something that you might want to check out. It adds, again, that little extra feature of having your face, your voice attached, superimposed on top of your screen captures or your video captures of your gameplay. And again, adds more functionality to something like VR Studio or to Share Factory. So if you're going to be doing a lot of that kind of stuff, sharing media, making posts, make them online, live streaming, all that kind of stuff, this is something that you might want to consider. What I also like about this is the microphone. When I'm gaming and I don't want to put on a headset, and let's say I've got a few other people in the room with me, to be able to have a conversation in that room and have all the voices in that room heard over a party chat when I'm playing online with somebody else, that's a great feature. So again, a minor feature, but if you're finding that you want to be able to have a conversation in the room, but also have that conversation extend out to the people that you're playing with online, this is not a bad little thing to have as well. So that's it. This is the PlayStation camera for the PlayStation 4. Right now, a very unique and niche type of product, depending on what you're going to use it for. Not a lot of games for it, but if you're going to be creating media and sharing that media out to the world, this is something that you might want to have sitting on top of your television.